Have you ever wanted to be the first to know if aliens really exist? Well, with Nebula, you can be! Nebula is the streaming service that's home to It's Probably Not Aliens, as well as our YouTube channels. And the best part? All of our content goes up early on Nebula. So when we break first contact with ET, you'll be the first to find out. That's right, you'll be able to listen to the next episode of this show before anyone else. Plus, we post bonus content that you won't find any other place. And the best part? By signing up for Nebula at nebula.tv/probablynotaliens, you're directly supporting the show and both of us. So don't wait any longer. Join Nebula today and be the first to know if this time it really is aliens.
Tristan, can I ask you one question? And I don't know if you have anything prepared for this, but can you just name just one thing that you hate, just randomly? Can you tell me one thing that you hate?
I despise Elf on a Shelf.
Wow.
I hate it so much. It's evil.
Now, before we continue, listeners are probably like, "Wow, this is kind of a timely episode," because I imagine by this point this is airing in like November, December or something, because we're so backed up on episodes. But no, actually, we're recording this in the middle of July. So why is this on the top of your mind right now?
To be fair, I made this I researched this in March, so yeah.
Oh.
But
that still doesn't make sense. That's 3 months away from December.
Okay, it's just like Elf on a Shelf started, like, it's one of those things that seems to have come into existence after I was a kid, but before I became an adult to like notice kid things. And everything about it speaks to is evil. Everything.
Yeah. Big government, surveillance state. Yeah.
It's very much like this is the elf that's watching the children to make sure everything about, like, I always was iffy about like Santa only gives presents to good kids. Like that, something felt very
who gives him the authority?
Yeah. Like it feels like they're just like training you for like, Saint Peter's judgment or something. But honestly,
subservience. Yeah.
Actually, I think that was a plot in a Dimension 20 season where St. Peter's list was lost, so they borrowed Santa's or something to like as a proxy.
Oh, dang. Oh yeah, that must have been like Unsleeping City.
Yeah. But I hate Elf on a Shelf just because it normalizes a lot of like I don't know if I've said on this podcast before, but I'm kind of an anarchist and I don't like unjust authority structures, and Elf on a Shelf is like one of those things that seems to be like instilling parental authority for just the sake of instilling it, and I don't like that. I think authority should be earned. And and this is apropos or germane to this episode because we're going to talk about why looking at things is a form of social control and it's kind of evil, and we should fight that.
Interesting. Well, we'll get into that, but this is a podcast that you're listening to right now.
Wow, under 5 minutes.
That was why I was prepared to keep going. I was going to ask you questions about how you're earning your kids, like the authority over your child. But we're going to skip right past it. We're going to smooth glide into this intro. This is a podcast where we look at ancient astronaut theory, the TV show Ancient Aliens, and other just sort of supernatural things, and examine them through a lens of skepticism, but hopefully not the annoying kind of skepticism. My name is Scott Nicewander. I know nothing. I never had an elf on a shelf in my home growing up. I was confused about the entire concept until about maybe 5 years ago. Never heard of it until then.
I'm Tristan Johnson, and I mentioned my distaste of Elf on a Shelf in literally the very first Step Back video. This has been a crusade of mine for nigh on that, which came out almost 10 years ago now. It'll be 10 years in September.
Okay.
So
when there's an uprising of kids against Elf on a Shelf, remember
who started?
Remember who's hating on it first. Yeah.
Yeah. So so I want to just put on the shelf there that I dislike this. So
Can I say this? If I were to ever do an Elf on a Shelf, the element of like the surveillance element of it, again, I'm in full agreement of you. I feel like I don't like that very much. But what I do like is the idea that you have to put it somewhere different all the time, because that's just a game that me and my wife play with, like, her stuffed animals that she sleeps with. Like, I will just put them in different places around the house for her to find, and that's just fun. And that's just a fun surprise. So I feel like if I ever did an Elf on a Shelf, I'd be like, this is just a goofy elf that is visiting for the holidays, and every day he's going to be in a new place, and he's not watching you. That's not a part of it.
that's your introduction. I will yes and that and tell you about a thing that I have been doing for 3 years. So I had as many of you probably know, in 2022 I had a child, and he's now about 3.5 years old. And one of the first gifts that we received from my mother-in-law was a print from a photo I took of him as a baby. Perfect, beautiful.
I know this.
It is. But the thing is, it is an extremely up-close photo of the baby, and the baby doesn't look happy or anything. And it's just like, if you look at it, like the first time I opened it, I actually had to, even though it was I had to restrain because it was in front of my mother-in-law. So I had to restrain going, "Wah!" Because like you just open up and there's this huge face, just like, so that happened, and then I proceeded to after the mother-in-law left, I have been treating it like a thing to freak out Kelly whenever possible by having it show up in the least expected places. So
yes,
Kelly has reported it showing up, like we have, like in our bathroom, we have like a little alcove when you go to the toilet.
I love the idea of her reporting it showing up, like she's like has to call someone, like, hey, I found it here again. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, it has shown up by the toilet. It has shown up in a drawer. It has shown up in the trunk of my car. And then on top of that, when for a little bit before he went to daycare, we had a babysitter who showed up for about a few hours a week so I could get some work done. And I told her about it, and she started yes-anding. And one time, Kelly went to bed and she had put it in the bed on Kelly's side of the bed. So
that's incredible.
So yes, marriage truly is finding somebody that you will just annoy forever and find new and novel ways to psychologically torture.
Now, as long as your child doesn't look at the portrait, because it could be a sort of Portrait of Dorian Gray scenario.
Oh no,
where it will start sucking the life from them, and that's no good.
No. Currently, it is still in the trunk of my car, and I am in the process of brainstorming a new place to more as it happens.
That's good.
But this is the podcast. So we're going to talk about. We're going to talk today about. Well, we're in our angel era.
Yeah, we are. Look at us, you and me. We're glowing.
And the reason I talked about Elf on a Shelf is because today we're going to talk about this very strange claim that came out of the Angel episode of Ancient Aliens. So,
yes,
millions of people around the world believe. Yeah, there you go. Millions of people around the world have noticed in comparative mythology that there are hovering, angelic creatures, and they're always defined as watchers. The Nephilim in Hebrew texts watch over the people. The Anunnaki in Mesopotamian stories watch over people.
Love that.
The Egyptians had the all-seeing Eye of Horus.
It can see it can see all, Tristan. It's in its name.
So why do all of these cultures have supernatural beings that watch over the people? Could it be that it is something universal, or could it be that aliens have surveillance systems that are monitoring human activity, and this is the way that we interpret that.
Whoa.
Yeah. You ever thought about that?
They're watching us. Have I ever thought of that? It's a good question. I don't know.
If you think about it, the depiction of angels as having lots of eyes,
tons of
and
eyes,
wings and halos, those are all technological devices.
Absolutely.
Maybe it's like the like eyes within eyes and wheels thing is like some kind of surveillance drone. Who knows?
Maybe it's just drones. Maybe it's lenses. Maybe it's lots of you know how every year the iPhone will just put another lens on the back of that camera. Yeah, it's gonna put another lens on the back of that device, and it's just by the end of it, it's just gonna be all camera lenses throughout the whole back is just all camera lenses.
In 15 years, the iPhone is going to be a hovering ball of wheels and eyes and flames.
It will finally have become its name, as you say, the iPhone.
And that's the idea is that the aliens must have been observing human activity, and so that this is like alien technology. But the thing though, and this is what I'm going, this is like, this is like advanced alien technology. But what I'm going to say, my like little twist on this is that it wasn't alien technology. But what I will say is that it is a form of pretty sophisticated technology that we still use today. Yeah.
Tell me more.
So they have this is an evidence that throughout human history we have had a sophisticated control system so effective that Silicon Valley basically just copied it.
Okay.
And every time somebody says that they don't mind being watched because it makes them feel safe, they're repeating a script that had been perfected by ancient priests thousands of years ago. So let's break down this 5,000-year-old con of technology.
Okay.
And recognize that everybody's being subtly manipulated into surrendering your freedom while believing that it's for your protection.
Okay. This feels like a heavy one. Let's get into it.
Okay. So here are the main claims that are used as a global pattern. So first, we've got the Anunnaki. Regular on Ancient Aliens, the lizard people.
Love these guys. They love the Earth gold so much. It's the most valuable gold in the universe.
Earth gold hunters extraordinaire, the Anunnaki, are extraterrestrial beings who establish surveillance networks to monitor their human slaves. They point to their role as judges and overseers as proof of being alien technology.
Okay.
The show also argues that the Eye of Horus represents advanced alien monitoring devices because the Egyptians couldn't conceive of an omniscient surveillance program without it being extraterrestrial assisted. Now, and of course, going to the Hebrews, they have the Book of Enoch and the Watchers as their evidence of alien surveillance officers. Who descended to Earth. It does seem like they have read 12 different myths and they just keep kind of revisiting them in different contexts.
It is true.
But how could these three civilizations, all extremely close to each other, all have developed the same concept of a divine watcher that sees over all and monitors whether you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake.
Be good for goodness sake.
Santa is the ultimate... You know what? I think that in many ways that the Patriot Act was paid for by Santa's lobbyists to normalize his surveillance state.
Wow. Someone had to say it.
Exactly. And according to Ancient Aliens, the ancient humans would have lacked the conceptual framework to think about an omniscient surveillance system without seeing the alien technology of cameras and
there's no way they could possibly conceive of something being able to watch over everything. You know how you and me, we can watch over maybe a couple things at a time in front of us,
if that.
It was impossible for another. We have ADHD, so let's not get too hasty here. We can watch over maybe one thing for a minute tops. It was impossible just from that for anyone to conceive of the concept of being able to watch over everything all at once.
Yeah.
Impossible.
Is the idea of omniscience
yeah.
a cultural attempt to our primitive brains to understand surveillance technology without without being able to put a word to it?
That's the only explanation I can think
Yeah.
of.
So why don't we? So that's the claim. It's not exactly they're not bringing their best for this one. That's for sure.
Which is saying a lot.
Yeah.
This feels there's a lot of times on this show where they will start. They'll be like, "There's no way they could conceive of this. Like this shape of this statue looks so much like a modern day aircraft." It's them interpreting it, but it's them just being like, the concept of omniscience is impossible for cultures to conceive of unless they had a physical representation in front of them of mass surveillance devices.
Yeah. Or that they were in the past, they were watched over by aliens, and that surveillance they interpreted as God watching over you or something like that. So let's get into the idea. So this actually does have a lot of really cool touchstones into a very real technology, which is the concept of divine surveillance as a sort of designed to create what's called a panopticon effect in order to instill pro-social behavior.
I was going to ask about the panopticon, but I couldn't remember the name of it.
Yeah.
So thank you for bringing it up. I was like, it's not a Decepticon.
Yes, the Decepticons watch over you. Jet Scream. Anyways.
Starscream, yeah.
Oh, right. Thing is, my Transformers knowledge is skewed because I don't remember Starscream as much as I do the one episode where Starscream possesses Waspinator. And that's the only way I know the Transformers. Okay.
Such a funny show.
Yeah.
It's like, if you ever go back and watch at least the first couple episodes, it's actually very funny, like on purpose. Like it's very good writing, especially with Starscream. What a fool. Love
Wonderful.
him.
So I want to talk about the panopticon effect, and because it is one of the most ancient technologies that humans have developed, it's sort of social technology to keep people in line and establish, well, depending upon who you ask, a ruling class that basically gets to control people without having a direct need to observe everybody at all times. So a panopticon. Maybe you've heard of the panopticon before. It's if you read too many books, but it's also a weird word and not one that everyone would know. Or it's one that often a lot of people would know the word, but definitely wouldn't have like a full explanation. So I want to get a little bit into it.
Right.
So the panopticon is this theoretical idea of making a prison that doesn't have bars. But people in the prison still stay in their cells. They still behave. They don't get out of line, even though there's like no guards on the floor and there's no bars in the cells. And the way they do it is that untouchable in the center of the prison is one room that can see every corner of the prison. It's like a circular design with like one station in the middle where a guard can watch. They are not watching anybody in particular at any given time, but the possibility of being watched at any given time reinforces the social behavior and makes people act as if they are being watched because they theoretically might be being watched. This was developed by a philosopher by the name of Jeremy Bentham. And as soon as I remembered Jeremy Bentham, I was like, oh, Bentham's head, because of Ask a Mortician. And so I forgot about this because this is one of the most interesting stories about a philosopher. So Jeremy Bentham died in 1832, and in his will left detailed instructions for how his body was going to be preserved. And he wanted to be displayed as what he called an auto-icon. So he wanted his body to be dissected for scientific and educational purposes, then reassembled, dressed in his clothes, and seated in a chair.
Oh, no.
And then they had his skeleton preserved and articulated with wire. They put his clothes on, stuffed the rest of it with hay, and then put it in a seated pose. He then wanted to have his head to be mummified using Maori techniques, but it failed. So his head is like this weird discolored leathery thing. and they had to replace it with a wax model. But this is put into this was put into the college he was at, the University College London. And the thing is,
Tristan,
this was on display in like a glass case for many, many years. And then the thing though is that the head was kept with the body, often placed between his legs, but they eventually had to remove it because one, it's horrifying to see, but two,
dude.
but the second reason is because students kept stealing it. Which just shows you university students never change.
Can I tell you, I hate so much that there is a drop down labeled image.
I needed a reveal.
You are expecting me. You're expecting me to click on this to, I guess, presumably see the mummified head of Jeremy Bentham.
So this is the way it looks today in UCL Student Center. You can still see this.
Okay, let me hit it. So. Oh, that's bad. Why are there two heads?
Because his head did not look good, so they made a fake head. And the real head is often not on display. It's just occasionally exhibited on special occasions. So you only get a little bit of Bentham's head as a treat.
Oh, I hate this. Oh no! I'm zooming in.
I couldn't have a segue within a segue talking about Jeremy Bentham without mentioning this extremely interesting fact. If there is an it's probably not aliens listener who goes to UCL, you know what you got to do. Get that camera. You know what you get that iPhone with its 450 lenses out and
get the infinite iPhone. I can't believe I've not heard of this. This is absolutely disturbing.
If you want to learn more about it,
but it is his skeleton in there too. Other than that,
his bones are in there. Yeah. If you want to learn more about this whole thing, Caitlin Doughty, who has a YouTube channel called Ask a Mortician, she made a whole video about it, and it became a meme on her channel for many years. So, go check that out.
Incredible.
So the idea is that the back to the panopticon.
Please.
Because the inmates don't know when they're being observed, they are motivated to act as if they are being observed. And I would argue that this is, like Bentham argued that this is a metaphor for very many systems of surveillance and control that we have in society where people regulate their own behavior because there's a possibility that they're being watched. They need this mythology to justify extensive economic and political control over people, because in our world, this is random. This is really, Tristan comes out as an anarchist episode. In our world, the state, the government, the thing that, makes you pay taxes and then uses it to pay police officers, they need to control everybody's behavior at all times to make sure we follow all the rules and make sure that we are properly, we're not thinking of doing anything like, having sex they disapprove of or being a gender they don't like or something. So in order to do so, they have to instill the idea that even though nobody's watching you right now, you could be being watched. And therefore, if you do a bad thing and the government doesn't want you to, they then, having the monopoly on the use of force, can then do whatever they want to you because they're a state.
This is to put it into like a modern kind of meme example. Are you familiar are you familiar with When It Happens?
Yes, I made a When It Happens tweet literally earlier today with another meme that is extremely old, because I said, when it happens, I know some guys in Ghana we should hire for the procession down Pennsylvania Avenue. If you remember the Ghana pallbearer, the pallbearer dancing.
Yeah. Incredible. Yeah, that to me is like an example of like, because I was hanging out with friends earlier this week, and someone mentioned like the When It Happens, and gosh, it's so hard that this is what I'm talking. Okay, this is right now is a great example, because I'm afraid to even say what When It Happens means. Like I'm even afraid to say on
I think what you're referring to is
means.
something called algo speak. which is the idea that because of automatic censorship, like algorithms that are meant to catch things like hate speech or anything that like, a platform doesn't want on its platform, people think of new names for things that then can get around the censors. And it leads to some of the weirdest things on social media I've ever seen. There's the when it happens. There's also sewer slide, unaliving.
But like, so we were hanging out with friends, and one of them hadn't heard about hadn't heard the terminology, like the phrase, like when it happens. They didn't know what it meant. So we explained it to them. And then like the friend I was with, who was like also helping me explain, was basically saying like, not that we would want that to happen if anyone's listening, if anyone in the government is listening. And it's like kind of a jokey thing that you sort of say whenever you say anything out loud that's like sort of, controversial. You're just like, no, in case anyone's listening, that was a joke. And like that itself is kind of a joke, but it's also like kind of like, but I don't really know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe someone is listening.
To get Tristan Makes You Sad super damn fast. One example is like in America right now, if you are a person who is, let's say, a person who wasn't born in the United States but lives in the United States, they're trying to instill a state of fear by randomly kidnapping people based on them just not being born in your country. And they're trying to intimidate you into leaving without them necessarily, like they're not there at all times, but they could be at any point. So please stop being Latino as soon as possible. Thank you. Signed, federal government. So that's the thing. But the thing is that this is an ancient technology because 5,000 years ago in ancient Mesopotamia, they would make statues of like their Mesopotamian gods that were literally positioned to watch over economic activity as it's happening. So as you're like farming, you can look up at the ziggurat and see like one of the Anunnaki like statues watching over you as the idea to like remind you that you are being watched and that they have the power. Sometimes they were gods, sometimes they were kings, and they would be placed like in direct view so that things like offerings, storage, and accounting would happen in their vision.
So if you were like to little skim a bit off the top while you're doing some accounting work, someone's watching.
Exactly.
The gods are watching.
If you have just received a deformed baby and you are about to toss them out, you will see the saints watching down on you, and they will look down on you as if you're watching God.
If you're like me and you were in charge of passing out communion at church and you wanted to sneak a little extra shot of grape juice, Christ is watching. There's that cross right over there.
There is something. I'm not Christian. I've never actually ever been. So I don't really have a statement on the Catholic Protestant divide, but the grape juice thing is proof that that the Protestants are the heretics here. It's like literally, I don't remember Jesus turning water into Welch's, Welch's Concord.
I know, but it's cheaper. So
now something much more interesting and sacrilegious is I did see a TikTok video where somebody made nachos with communion wafers, and
oh no, that sounds disgusting. I would much rather have tortilla chips for communion, please. That would actually be great.
All right, Pope Leo. If you ever plan on doing Vatican III, we have some suggestions.
We have some great suggestions if we could have a moment of your time, please.
We'll replace communion wine. Wine is fine, but it's very
The wine's fine.
But what if it was a different type of wine, like something that was more in line with the times, like MD, what's that stuff called?
What if it was, we'll keep the alcoholic element kind of, and what if we instead did like a beer, cheese, and nachos? What if we did that for communion?
What if communion was kind of a charcuterie?
What if it was kind of a little board, a platter
instead of communion wine,
guests?
or it would be communion wine still, but instead of doing like just regular like a Chardonnay or whatever red wine, a Shiraz,
little rosé.
Why don't you do something like MD 2020? It's still technically wine.
What if we did just like a flight? Yeah.
A wine which is nicknamed Mad Dog.
What if we did Buzzballs? Hey,
Buzzballs, yes.
For communion?
Drink this Buzzball, for it is my blood. Listen, the Pope is American now. The doors have been opened.
The doors have been open for me, Tristan. For me. You're Canadian. You don't have a pope
We
yet.
almost had a pope. There was a whole thing because there was a French-Canadian potential pope and it didn't go through. But someday. Either way, American Pope, Buzzball communion wine, what's it called? Tostitos scoops as the communion wafers.
That's pretty good. I mean, we could always do a Cool Ranch Dorito. Also a great option.
What's it called? The communion wrap supreme.
That's good.
Yeah. Okay, so I mean that's a natural. Like, if the Vatican ever needs cash, you could do a brand sponsorship deal with Taco Bell.
If you need a cash infusion, get
come to church, live Moss. Like, can you imagine, like, on like the little sign on the little side?
We could do this all day. We could do this for the next hour, but we have to move on.
We have to move on. I'm sorry. It's too good. It's too good. Okay. In Egypt, they also did something very similar. So this is one of those things that we've hinted at a few times when we've talked about ancient Egypt, but like doesn't come across because everyone just kind of gets hauled up with like all of the cool gods and stuff. But like Egypt was like an extraordinarily centralized and powerful government. Like, it was run by like the pharaoh, and the temples and the governors and stuff like that had extraordinarily centralized direct control over like every part of the economy. And the Eye of Horus is kind of part of that because it is meant to be like, this is the eye of the gods, the eye of the pharaoh watching over everybody. And it provided an ideological justification for the fact that they needed to have a way to promote what they called ma'at, the cosmic order and justice in Egyptian society, which they believe everything would fall apart if anybody ever deviated and was ever disloyal to the pharaoh, who they believed was a god. And the extreme, and that meant that you needed to basically hold up his entire empire by giving him everything he wants, and also, or she. There's a girl boss as pharaoh sometimes, but
absolutely.
But like, if you think about it, how else would you keep order in a society where you don't have phone lines, you don't have the internet, you don't even have really like a mail service? You need to have things like religious institutions that maintain the social order in order to keep the empire running. And this is why Egypt was incredibly stable, because of the like religious doctrine and the power of the temples and the priests to kind of keep watch over it was part of like, a lot of times, the ancient act of statecraft. Like, you couldn't really build a government by like the secular power of the leader alone, so you used divine power and divine connections in order to really create those systems of authority when you didn't have the communications networks or the soldiers to really do it, physically.
Yeah, because otherwise you're just like a person.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, how can I show off, or like how can I imply a bigger power than I actually currently have? Just say God's on your side.
If you think about it, this is also why, like, in dictatorships, you see like pictures of the leader everywhere and like stuff like that. So it's, again, it's a technology that humans developed to maintain social control. And in the Hebrew context, you also see this. The Book of Enoch emerges during a time when, so this is a bit of history. So the Book of Enoch, the one that has like the Nephilim and like the sort of watchers and everything like that, actually was written in a period between 300 and 100 BCE, which was when Alexander the Great had conquered Hebrew lands. And so the Jews were kind of living underneath Greek rulers. And this foreign dominion created anxieties about the cosmic order and divine justice. And so the Watchers kind of acted as like a reaction to political oppression, as that like because this is another angle to it too that kind of the Christianity and the Abrahamic religions pick up, which is that to the people who have been conquered, sometimes this divine watching and this divine record keeping is like a different angle where it's like, yeah, I'm being screwed over and everything bad is happening to me, and all of my everything is being taken and given to like the people who rule over me. But in the long term, I know that the divine justice is on my side, so they'll get their just desserts in the next life or something like that.
Right.
Another system that has been used to make you be like, so that's why I'm not going to fight against the established order, is because I'm going to get I'm going to get my comeuppance just after I die when the state no longer has anything that they owe me. So. So like that's the thing, is that like these texts were a way for like Jews living under Hellenistic government to build these frameworks for understanding foreign oppression and hope for divine intervention against corrupt earthly powers. And so I would even argue, and this is like, this is like a way that I've been thinking about Christianity lately, is that because if you look at Christianity and like the big scope of like the history of religion and everything like that, it kind of popped up in its period as Jews living under Roman oppression, right? And a lot of its belief structure, a lot of its stuff was specifically in rebellion to Roman rule. Like it's like its beliefs about like, turning the other cheek, like giving power to the poor, that like the rulers like power to the meek. These are all direct opposition to a lot of the values of like the Roman Empire. And then there's a lot of people have talked about how Revelations, if you look at like the sort of symbology in it, speaks a lot to specifically the rule of Emperor Nero. And so like and then Christianity, like as a cult, if you think of it as, if you think of these religions as political movements, like you can't really disentangle them in this period, that early Christianity worked in like underground sort of stuff as like a form of rebellion against the Roman Empire, which makes a lot, like if you think about the Bible and Christianity in that context, it makes a lot of things make sense. And this is a kind of maybe like an older, keep in mind, that's not like an academic conclusion. This is my own just sort of speculation, but like,
gotcha.
You can kind of see this like reflected in this example of like the Book of Enoch showing up under, when they were being ruled over by the descendants of Alexander the Great's army. Sure. And what I saw called apocalyptic hope, which is another thing a lot of Christians have in a very strange way, that I just recently read the book Wild Faith by Talia Levine. And as someone who didn't grow up in Christianity, I didn't know that you can broadly break down Christianity into two camps. There's the ones who don't want the world to end because in order for the world to end properly, you have to make everybody on earth a Christian for 1,000 years. Or you actively want the world to end because then that will push the apocalypse. Both of them want the apocalypse, but they have different conditions for what the apocalypse is going to be. And I'm like, this is a very strange religion, if you really think about it.
It's like, it's one of those where it's as someone who grew up, going to church and in a Christian household, it's one of those where like, it feels weird to call Christianity like a religion. It is like 12 religions minimum.
In Protestant sects, I feel like everybody gets their own religion because everyone kind of just does their own thing.
You know what? Just make up your own thing, whatever makes you happy and is not hurting other people.
The Protestants have everything from like the universal Unitarians to those people who handle snakes. Like it's a big tent.
It's a lot of stuff.
By the way, Vatican III, the snakes are coming back.
Snakes are coming back. Snakes are a huge part of Vatican III, actually.
We're like, what's it called? Protestants, like, I know that, Catholics and Protestants have had their issues in the past, but I think if there's one thing the Catholics can learn from the Protestants, it is that very weird misreading of the Bible that technically says that if you're a true Christian believer, you're immune to poison. And so you definitely need to handle snakes. Snake handling is in.
You gotta have the snakes. Yes. Huge part of it.
And so why do these things show up in all of these cultures that to me was a very strange thing to say because they're all Mediterranean / Middle Eastern cultures. What could possibly unite these three civilizations that, you could drive to in about 1 24-hour period? Yeah.
Impossible to know.
But this shows up in many, many places, not just in, the ancient Mesopotamia and the Mediterranean world. You do see these kinds of designs everywhere. And it's because people thought of this technology multiple times. It's actually not that complicated. Watcher mythologies evolve independently, almost possibly emergently, because all complex societies face the same type of challenge. How do you maintain social control in an urban environment if you don't have direct physical monitoring over every person? Every civilization that has a centralized authority has that problem and figures out a solution to it using implied surveillance. It was true for the ancient Mesopotamians, and it's true today.
It's true for Santa.
Now, I want to kind of figure out why this works. But first,
I'd love to.
But very first thing.
Yeah. One thing.
Vatican III will also entirely endorse the following product and/or service.
Ooh. And maybe it's tailored directly to you because we know all of your likes and needs and wants and everything about you.
So this is holy. This is canon now.
This is what you're about to
actual
listen to
canon.
Is holy.
Hey, you know that feeling of total exhaustion you get from being online? That sense of powerlessness against an endless wave of grifters and bad faith arguments? Well, that's by design. The whole environment of online spaces right now is engineered to make you feel angry and overwhelmed to increase engagement metrics. This is not some conspiracy thing. They've literally said that anger is one of the most evocative emotions and helps with increasing engagement metrics, which means more ads, which means more revenue. But it also wears you down and reduces your ability to fight back against, gestures widely. And that's why we, at It's Probably Not Aliens, decided to build our own spaces. And it's one of the many, many reasons why this show is on Nebula. Nebula is a streaming service built and owned by me and a ton of other creators you already trust. Think of it as a curated library for thoughtful videos built from the ground up to be a better experience. It's a place for exclusive content without ads, designed to arm you with ideas, not exhaust you. It's also the single best way to support this show. As a thank you, all our podcast episodes go up a week early on Nebula, and we do an exclusive full-length Q&A episode there every single season. Now, for those of you who are in this for the long haul, I also want to mention the lifetime plan. The price for that just went up to $500, but our link still gets you lifetime access for $300. You pay once, and you are done. It's a huge way to support independent creators, and that's what we're building. Plus, if you're like me and tired of the subscriptions, this is a way to just pay once and never think about it again. You have Nebula forever. So whether you want to go monthly or join for life, turn that frustration into action. Start building something better with us. You can sign up at go.nebula.tv/probablynotaliens. The link is right there in the show notes. Join us. It's worth it.
Thank you, Pope Leo, for your ad for, do you guys have that meal kit service where they don't even give you the ingredients anymore? They literally just ship you a frozen meal and you put it in the microwave.
Yeah, I've not done that myself personally, but yeah, it's like isn't that weird? Isn't it weird that I grew up with like TV dinners and microwave dinners being like, that's the shitty stuff you put into your body when you don't have money. And now it's just like, actually, this is the healthiest chef-prepared, delicious meals and whatnot.
I have a thing on this. So as some of you on the internet might know, my wife, Kelly, is an immigrant from America. So she immigrated from the United States to Canada. And we, every so often, our cultures are pretty goddamn similar. But every so often something comes up, like when I mentioned the Pokeroo, and then she looks at me like she has no idea what I just said. Because polka dot door wasn't
I'm
a thing.
looking at you the same way.
The house hippo, completely unknown. Now you know the house hippo, but
yeah, you showed me that one. I appreciate that.
But one of the more interesting ones that was a little under the radar was we have completely different approaches to like the relative class value of frozen food. Now, I know that sounds weird, but in America, so what I picked up, and I did a little bit of research to try to get to the answer to this, but in America, frozen food is typically associated with highly processed TV dinners and is considered a thing that the poors eat and is therefore like it's unhealthy.
Frozen meals, yes.
Okay,
I would
frozen
say,
meals,
yeah. Like if you get like frozen peas or frozen corn or whatever, that's fine. Like that's like a normal thing, I feel.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So in Canada, things like the Hungry Man dinners and stuff, they never really caught on that much. So it's like if you go to a Canadian grocery store, you might find it, but you're not going to find that many. There's not going to be much variety, and it's not going to be a huge part of the store. But one of the sort of institutions, at least in Ontario, but I think it's pretty widespread in the country, is a chain of stores called M&M Meat Shop. Now, M&M Meat Shops it's a misleading name kind of, but what it is a kind of fancy high-end place you go that exclusively sells frozen meals. So like, for example, we go there every so they don't, it doesn't look like a grocery store. You go there and it's just all frozen. And they sell like it's not a place, like culturally, it's not a place you go for cheap stuff. It's where you go for like, you buy like a thing of like hors d'oeuvres or like Nanaimo bars, which are a Canadian dessert. That's really fancy.
Okay.
But like, for example, I went there the other day to pick up like hamburgers, like frozen hamburgers. And Kelly was like, oh, you're going to buy frozen hamburgers. They're going to be like gross, like stamped processed things. And I was like, I came back with like, my choices were like Angus or Wagyu frozen burgers.
Okay, so the good stuff. Yeah.
But like M&M, so in Canada, like a frozen meal can actually be like kind of bougie. Can be like the TV dinner is not so much of a thing, but like the frozen like going and grabbing a frozen lasagna that is like from M&M's that you put in the oven is like.
Well, I will say, I was also thinking of Hungry Man as well. That seems to be a pretty staple one. I think in Vatican III, we're going to rename Hungry Man to Hungy Boy. It's a Hungy Boy.
We're going to make the Lonely Man dinner. It is 5.5 pounds of food this time. And it's just like a bucket.
Yes. It's all mixed in there.
It's just you heat it up and it's just slop. Like you just like stir it up and eat it. It's the closest thing to human dog food that we've ever devised.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Though. All right, we gotta talk more about the actual.
Yeah, the other stuff.
We're gonna keep talking.
Yeah. Okay.
We're gonna keep talking about Vatican III.
Vatican. I want to just say it enough times that it can become a bit. That's all I want.
Yes.
As long as Pope Leo's alive, we're going to keep doing that. Okay. So I looked into like why people do this. Like, why is this a thing that we can do? Because anarchists and I don't mean like anarchists and like, fuck the system, but like in like anarchist philosophers and like various anarchists.
This is a really good point because I have gotten into arguments before. I don't know if I would like say that I identify as an anarchist because to be honest, I just don't really know too much about the actual like philosophy of it and how like a system would work. But I've gotten into arguments where people will throw around the word anarchy to like mean like chaos. And that's not what it means in this exact context. It literally just means like no rulers, right? No.
Yeah. Fun little thing. So anarchy, which does mean like no leaders, is a philosophy based around the idea of questioning any sort of authority structure, like any sort of horizontal command structure, and trying to like, it's basically the philosophical idea that any sort of commands, any sort of hierarchical structure, if it isn't absolutely necessary, should be replaced with a non-hierarchical one. And very often anarchist philosophers have gotten to the point where like a general accepted thing is that we could probably find a way to organize society that don't have like monopolistic organizations called states. So like countries as we know them don't necessarily need to exist. And then a anarchist by the name of Leon Czolgosz killed William McKinley, and for a while it became associated with like terrorism and lawlessness, and that's why it kind of got and so that's sort of part of why.
And that's not what we're talking about. Like that's a good thing to bring up, because I feel like when people hear anarchy, they think of like lawlessness, chaos, and things like that, and that's not what we're talking about.
And the first thing that I wanted to come up with is the fact that one of the things that anarchist philosophers or anarchist theorists have had to deal with is that there is an issue that is kind of built into the human brain. It's part of our success, but it's also part of our greatest successes and also our most depraved atrocities, which is that we're social animals. And that means that we have evolved a lot of ways to, our brains are very predisposed to kind of go with the flow. And that if there is somebody who seems like they know what they're talking about and they tell us to do something, we kind of, our first instinct is to kind of just do it. And
I see that. I can see
that. And we have seen in various civilizations where this has caused problems that there have actually been like active attempts to stop people from putting themselves into positions where they have power over others. One of the most famous being this this term called shaming the meat, which is a very strange thing. But an anthropologist studied this one civilization that did not have like a sort of hierarchical structure to their organization, and they tried to study to figure out why. And what happened is that it was sort of a hunter-gatherer society, and whenever their young men went out and hunted and came back with like their first like really big impressive game, normally that would like in like an older time that might have like led them to get like prestige or power that they could have been leveraging to more things. But this culture had developed a norm where when they bring back an especially big and impressive game, the rule is you insult them, talk about how shitty that animal is and how anybody could have killed them. The idea to actively cut down their sense of like pride and power and prestige in order to stop this from happening. And now I'm going to get into a very kind of iffy field of social science that's often used to justify a bunch of misogynist bullshit, but that's not what we're getting into. But in the sort of weird field of evolutionary psychology, the idea that humans developed threat management systems that are designed to follow along with hierarchical organization that helped us survive vulnerable times might be part of the reason that we default so much to like these surveillance stories, because we actually do have specialized neural mechanisms for recognizing and responding to authority. So we are like this is like one part of our greatest achievements and our greatest crimes that we have done are associated with the fact that we are hardwired to kind of recognize and respond to authority. And in like, you know, any functioning anarchist society that has been put in the future, there would have to be like active work to undo it. Not so much undo it, but it's like because we can't undo it. It's part of our biology, but to actively be resisting it at all times, to find our own shaming of the meat type thing. And so I do think that these surveillance systems that are put in place here, like these gods that watch over, or like the aspects of the state, are designed to exploit these evolved responses because they represent authority. And in our heads, we then heuristically would be like, okay, then we'll just go with the flow of what it has, because we are kind of like, we do like one of the things that we have in common with sheep is that we are both animals that live in crowds that survive collectively. And when you do that, if you think about it, if you're going to survive, you kind of do have to have some kind of mechanism to kind of just like go with what's going on, even if you don't necessarily agree with it.
Yeah. Do you think there's any possibility that your wife was trying to actively fight against this instinct when she was shaming the frozen milk that you were picking up from M&M's?
But I was trying to explain M&M meat
Just
shots.
like, she was like, frozen burgers? No, that's disgusting. But secretly, it was like, yes, I can't wait for this Angus/Wagyu. Please.
Possibly. They are good. So
She's a step ahead of us, is what I'm saying.
she understands. She's a secret anarchist. Oh boy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, we've seen, like, there's a lot of times we see this kind of thing in history. Like, after major political transitions, we start to see these divine watcher mythologies show up. And in a way that it's like part of like trying to establish a new political order. And when societies, like, you can see these sort of myths show up in a culture when they're shifting from a sort of nomadic tribal like arrangement to something that is imperial or urban that has a centralized government. So it's evolving to support a change in power structures that typically comes with agriculture. And
Gotcha.
The other thing too is that, and if you read David Graeber, who was he was an anarchist as well, David Graeber wrote about how our economy, like we have this like idea in the past that economics was done through barter and trade, but it wasn't really. Barter and trade actually was like the end of how our old economy worked. And if anything, bartering and trading was considered kind of insulting, because how humanity worked for a very long time was on a complex interconnected system of debt where people did favors for each other. And so basically you'd end up in a situation where everyone kind of owed everyone else a favor, and one that couldn't ever really be repaid. And so if you were to say like, to give something to somebody and then they paid you for it, that would be like you saying, I no longer want to maintain this connection between us. We want to just square it off.
Okay.
And so it's not until you get more complicated economies that you actually need to have like formal types of exchange, because this is someone you may never see again. But if it's somebody who you have regular contact with, then like, here, I'll give you some boots. I just made some extras. And then I'll be like, oh shit, I got some extra bread. I should probably give it to Jeff, because Jeff gave me those boots last month and I haven't given him anything since. So like a lot of time, and this even still happens in our social life when it comes to like, paying the tab at a restaurant or like,
I was going to say, I do this all the time with my friend. Like I know people, including some of my friends who are very much, I know people.
I know people all the time.
I'm not on trial here. I know people, but I know people who like even friends of mine who are very much the like, I'll pick this up, you Venmo me. Like, I'll put it on my card, but you Venmo me, or I'll Venmo you, sort of a thing. I'm very much the kind of person of like, I'll pick up the tab, don't Venmo me, because I know at some point in the future you're going to get me. And it's going to be uneven. It's always going to be uneven, but that's just going to keep us...
That keeps the relationship going. That implies the constant connection.
That's what I love.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I love, and I've done that ever since. That some of my friends growing up did that, and I learned it from them. And I was like, I really like this, and that's how I've always done it. Like, I will go above and beyond for a friend, and just recently I did, and they were like, "Can I Venmo you like $100?" And I was like, "No, no, because I want to stay being friends with you." Like you'll do something for me at some point, and even if you don't, that's fine. I did it for you because you're a friend, and I don't need money to do something for a friend.
Yeah, exactly. And if you want to learn more about that, the book is called "Debt: The First 5,000 Years," and it is an absolute banger. Because but in the end, and also R.I.P. David Graeber. We were mutuals. He passed away in 2021, I want to say, or he died, I think 2020, but but basically like that is like part of the, once you start shifting away from that, then you don't have that informal structure of relationships and debt in order to maintain the economy. So you need other options, which is also part of like the state intervening and laws and stuff like that becoming more of the thing. So you can see like how this becomes. And also, if you want to justify, say, if you have a temple with a bunch of rulers in it, like if you have a god king or something like that, how do you justify farmers who do all of the work in the society giving all of their hard-earned money and wealth to a person whose job is being powerful? You have to put mythology and this in place to justify the systemic theft, basically, of the majority of people in order to maintain a ruling class, if you will.
Yeah.
Not to get too red on this this thing, but yeah, and
yeah. I also just one last thing I want to add too about the debt portion of it. I remember reading this was a technique that Benjamin Franklin used for making friends. Is like he will ask for favors, like for people who are his enemies or like just not friends, but he will specifically ask them for favors because it makes them like feel a little bit like, oh yeah, this guy I don't like is asking me for a favor. Yeah, I like having this little bit of power over them. But he like started noticing that like in doing so, they were more ready to like do another favor for him, and it just eventually like became a series of friendship of like they would just do each other favors, and he did it on purpose. It was like, I don't like this person, they don't like me, so let's just be indebted to each other through a series of favors until we like each other.
Yeah. It's one of the most. It's actually like a really good. It's one of the most like if you study like how to be charismatic, how to get that riz, how to get like how to have like how to make people like you. Not in like a sociopathic sense, but like if you work in like sales or business or any like thing where your job is being friendly and having people like you and maintaining relationships. Asking for a favor is like one of the secret keys to getting somebody to like you. Because like it's very counterintuitive, but it is true. And if somebody asks you to do something for them, like you kind of feel good to be asked.
Yes.
And it makes you like, it makes you think of them in a context. And again, it then begins a system of reciprocal debt that then is a maintained relationship. So there's a secret Riz tip from a 36-year-old historian.
I believe it's literally called the Benjamin Franklin effect.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to do their
I
own
think it was also
research
popularized in How to Win Friends and Influence People at a certain point.
Oh, was it? That's funny. I didn't know that.
Maybe I one of those old timey how to get people to like you books has it. Also, just like
Gotcha.
This brings up in a lot of like in cognitive science, there's also a lot of evidence that this kind of stuff works because when one of the things we also don't like doing is thinking. I'm sure you've heard of like the idea of system 1 and system 2 thinking, where humans think in two different ways. One is slow and deliberate analysis, which is better, but it's much more mentally taxing. But we also have system 1 thinking, which is sort of like heuristical thinking, where we have automatic responses based on triggers. And very often, if you think about how we're like predisposed to kind of follow authority, then putting the surveillance things in place creates the habits that then can be turned into automatic responses under, triggering and stuff like that. Like, for example, a really good example, Scott, you are in downtown.
Yes. Hi.
Downtown Roanoke. Downtown.
Yes.
It's 3 a.m. There is not a single car on the road. Nowhere.
All right.
There is nobody. Nobody sees you. It is completely empty. You're at an intersection. You need to cross the street, and the red hand is there. What do you do?
I hit the button to get it to change. Yeah.
You hit the button. Do you wait for the little white man to show up to let you walk across the street? Yeah. There you go.
Genuinely, I do. Yeah, I do. Just to be clear, I do for a couple of reasons. Number one, because I haven't in the past, and I almost got hit from someone speeding in the middle of the night who did not see me, so that would have been bad. And also, number two, some of the crosswalks I regularly walk by are a school, and even in the dead of night, I'm like, I am not teaching these kids about jaywalking. I will follow the letter of the law.
Yeah, I'm not saying that these things don't happen for good reasons, but they are like, even in a situation where like it would be extraordinarily unlikely for you to have for something dangerous to happen, you still follow it, and you follow it kind of without thinking about it.
Yeah,
and that's sort of part of it. And also just like repeated exposure.
I also have been yelled at for jaywalking by a cop before, which was like very funny because their heart was not in it.
They're like,
like they were
hey,
just like,
cut it out.
They're just like, stop. They're like, stop jaywalking. Like it was like the early morning. They're just like, stop it. Wait for your sign. Their heart wasn't in it. Man. I don't blame them.
But we've also seen in studies of people's brains that repeated exposure to surveillance actually causes like changes in the way that we do neuroprocessing and increases our acceptance of these systems over time. So these ancient systems also like were rewiring the brains of the people who lived in them so that they could keep following along. One thing that kind of fits into this, and this is a bit adjacent, but our brains, compared to like the brains of like ancient humans, are actually quite different. Like our brains are evolving to kind of get smaller not because we're.
That's why my head is the way it is.
Kind of. It's evolving to get smaller, not because we're getting dumber necessarily, but because like your average person today doesn't have to memorize 15,000 different species and like which ones are safe and like which like things like that. It's like the amount of like things that you can kind of just rely on civilization to deal with. But the thing is that we're still genetically identical to those ancient humans. So it's just because of the way that our neuroplasticity trains us as we grow up. And so this is kind of part of that. So like ancient civilizations were training and shaping human brains to more easily accept the authority of the governments over the people. And this gets passed through like developmental programming, like children who grow up in surveillance environments get conditioned responses that make the transmission of the surveillance acceptance go down to further generations. And so you can see that this passes all the way to today because, we create enduring patterns of attachment behavior. So the cloth monkey, the cloth mother, or the wire mother or whatever, lets us we feel safer.
You and I grew up, we're not too far off in age. When like we grew up as the internet was like becoming a more like daily thing that people would log on to and spend time with. Were your parents ever like, because I don't know about you, my parents were very much like, don't ever say your real name online. Don't ever post your real name online. People can find your information and they'll find you and they'll, they can impersonate you. They can, show up at your house. Like my parents initially were very much like, don't post anything about yourself online. It's a scary place.
Heck yeah.
Now, 20-something years later, now I'm the one who's telling my parents, stop posting everything online, and because they're starting to fall for like scams and fraud things and whatnot. And I just feel like they have totally done a 180 on their own advice about how like the internet's full of people who just want to get your information and who want to scam you and who want to commit fraud and things like that. And I actively have to be like, Mom, this is a scam. They are scamming you.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember once I had to deal with a boomer who did not like something I posted on TikTok, and out of sheer kindness, I had to delete his comment because he posted his address because he wanted me to go fight him. And so I deleted it because I was like, I feel like you just doxed yourself because you challenged me to a fight.
You doxed yourself, buddy? Oh no.
Yeah.
That's a skill issue for sure.
Yeah. But so all that technology is like kind of responsible for creating civilization, but it met with other things. And now do you want to figure out how it's making our society today a bit sad? Yeah, we have the music.
All right, let me do it. No fart sound.
No fart sound
this time.
Can we just have one?
All right, we can have. Do you want the whole thing or just the fart?
Just the fart.
Just the fart. Good. That's how it's already edited. Oh wait, no, it is the whole thing.
We're going to warp speed.
Here it is. Get ready. Get ready.
Excellent. All right,
that's a good relief.
Yeah, that's gonna be good because we're about to get into the kind of all of the steps that led to how this heuristic in our mind led to the nightmare that we currently live under. So one of the things we found out is that getting information about people's patterns is a thing that we have been trained for thousands of years now to accept. And it turns out that information is valuable and can be used to make money. So the wonderful people who brought you for the wonderful people who brought you Facebook and Donald Trump's first election, we also have surveillance capitalism. So
no,
modern tech companies have been using the same techniques as ancient temples to systematically extract our behavior by trying to model everything through that, and then using that to, instead of get us to adhere to their process, it's to use their website and also click on ads and also have them extract information about us so they can sell it to advertisers.
Darn. And I would never participate in that. I would never have ads on anything that I make money off of selling ads to people.
What's the name of that cereal?
Doesn't sound like me. Oh, I actually don't want to say because I don't even know if we're sponsored, and I don't want to give them free publicity.
That's true. I don't even remember it anymore.
It's Spagic Moon.
It's good, but it's pricey. It's good. It'll cost you. Okay, but Mark. Today, surveillance is everywhere. It's in your phone. It's in your websites. It's literally like you are being tracked in almost everything that you do at all times. I have I'm wearing a watch that monitors my heartbeat at all times and figures out when I'm sleeping. And it's going to a server somewhere, and I do not know why. I do not know how.
Growing up, it was like a joke that you have microphones all around you listening to you. But that is literally the thing. People have, all your phones can activate, their assistants with just a word that you say because they're always listening.
Yeah.
All of people at one point in my life, I did have the Amazon Echo devices. And then, first of all, they're bad and they're not good and I hate them. But aside from that, I just mean not even a moral thing. They're just badly designed products and they're bad and the services are bad. But aside from that, I just got really weirded out at one point being why do I purposefully, intentionally allow Jeff Bezos into my home? I don't want that. I don't want him listening to me. No,
don't let Jeff Bezos into your home is the trick. He can't come in if you don't invite him.
It's true.
Yeah. So the thing is that the language we use is actually pretty similar to ancient systems. We talk about security, enhanced experiences, sacred, personalization, enhanced user experience, and security are not that dissimilar from divine oversight and, sacred protection. God loves you, will take care of you. But also is protecting you and making sure that you're good. And it's
God knows all the products you want.
God knows what you want for Christmas. He's making a list. He's checking it twice.
Sure is.
And the other big one today is because, we grew up in the War on Terror period, is the idea of talking about it as protection. Surveillance systems, because, oftentimes ancient gods and rulers were thought of as the protectors of the people. And so that's the same framing effect of modern surveillance, where we talk about national security measures. And we have studies that show that talking about these as security measures actually make them accepted more often than saying it's a government monitoring program, despite the fact that those are the exact same thing.
It's the same thing, different words.
Yeah, and tech companies have been spending decades building piece by piece the ingredients for helping us accept it, and then they use it to do things I don't know if you've heard of the nudge stuff, but they'll use this stuff to subtly push our behavior in different directions that they want. And then sometimes they'll do that for, say, example, when Cambridge Analytica used a bunch of data it harvested from people to micro-target ads to make them more likely to vote for Donald Trump in 2016. Yeah. And...
Hey, did anything ever come of that?
I don't know, but I have also not read a newspaper since 2016, so...
Yeah.
But like the authority that like the priests had does mirror a lot of the authority that like the tech people have, where like they know all, they see all, they're making things better for us, and like, you know, they'll protect us like the government does. And the thing is that this stuff is like a thing that normalizes comprehensive monitoring, which is usually, you know, not too long ago, we would say was synonymous with, say, authoritarianism. Like we used to joke that there's literally a Yakov Smirnov joke where it's like, you know, like in America, you listen to the TV, and then in Soviet Russia, TV listens to you, because like, you know, joke about how the Soviets were always monitoring people. But now, you know, the Soviets wouldn't have dreamed on the level of surveillance that like we are under now for the sake of raising money for companies or for the state to make sure it doesn't find any dissidents. And yet we're kind of just okay with it.
Yep.
And it's weird. I think like, given how much of a violation it is of our like core freedoms and rights, we are weirdly easily able to accept it, because I think of like how we're hardwired to accept this kind of thing. And this is,
and it's also just like, it's also just one of those things where it's little, it's like chipping away a little by little. And there's really not, because I think of all the times when all these big tech companies have done even small things that have made people go like, whoa. Like I remember way back in the day, it was huge news that Facebook and, you know, and Meta and Instagram and all them, I think even before it was called Meta, just Facebook was like, we now have, like, we've updated our terms and service to say that we now own all of the rights to any images that you post. Like this was early days of like Facebook and stuff, and they were just like, yeah, we've updated our terms of service to be like, we now own the rights to anything you post on Facebook image wise. And people were so upset about it, but then nothing happened. And it was like, well, are you going to keep using Facebook or not? And it was like, well, I do need to still connect with my family and friends, and there's no other alternative. So yep. And you just have to get used, and you just have to like give up those sort of like, I don't even want to call them freedoms necessarily, but just like give up that privacy, that like ownership of your own life.
Yeah. I would even say like there's a connection, because
safety,
like religion has an aspect of this as well that we're predisposed to, where like, now you can correct me if I'm wrong, you obviously know more about being part of a religion than I do, but like there's a large part about how like a big chunk of it is voluntarily giving yourself up to a higher order. And that sort of the idea of like, I think it's like the entire Christian concept of free will, right? Like you have to, like, that you're given free will so that you could choose to accept all this stuff.
There's definitely like a temptation element of it. Like it's like you are going to be tempted as like tests of faith, to sort of voluntarily choose the right thing.
These aren't things that are going to be imposed on you. They are things you're going to choose because they're going to give you benefits. They're going to give you the happy afterlife. They're going to give you better ads. They're going to give you personalized song recommendations, whatever it is.
They're going to give you Pokemon Yellow when you're young.
They're going to give you
for Christmas.
Or they're just going to give you Pokemon Go, which it turns out was entirely an operation, as you told me once.
Yeah. They were scanning for map data, I believe. I don't know. I could be wrong. I heard that. I don't know. I believe that's true, though.
The thing is that there's also a thing where our brains are also very easily swayed by like threats. And so, you know, vivid, concrete threats seem more real. Like one of the examples that I always think of for this is that around September of 2020, the United States was losing an equivalent to the amount of people who died during 9/11 every single day. And people did not seem to see the threat of that in the same way that they did for 9/11. And in the same way that like the vague idea of like bad actors, terrorist threat seems more real and visceral and something we need to do something about than like the taking away of our, you know, our freedoms, and that, you know, a country like a state someday, for example, we may elect a government that doesn't have our best interests at heart and will then have all of this data about us and use it in malicious ways. I don't know if that will ever happen in the United States, but it could sometime.
No. It's a possibility, but it hasn't happened yet. You remember how in The Dark Knight, which is we've talked about this before. It's basically like, what if 9/11 was a clown? And then Batman.
That's such a good line.
So Batman creates that cell phone technology that
the Patriot Act.
Wayne Enterprise puts in everyone's phones, and he can surveil the entirety of Gotham and whatnot. But but here's the thing: that movie promised me that at the end of it, once they catch the clown, Lucius Fox enters in the password and it destroys the whole monitoring system, right? It's done. Mm-hmm. So I assume the United States, whenever they, started spying on everyone and, started increasing all their surveillance networks in the wake of 9/11 and whatnot, I assume they also destroyed that whole network like Lucius Fox did when they caught when they did it, when they said we got him.
Yeah, remember Prism and Edward Snowden and how that kind of just happened and then we kind of just forgot about it, and that was like over 10 years ago. What do you think's been happening since then with that technology,
Yeah, they just destroyed it, right? Like Lucius Fox did.
The other thing too is that these systems tend to not ever retreat. It's not usually a time where we end up being like, we're going to surveil you less. We're going to collect less data about you. It always seems to ratchet itself up. So luckily we have a new segment that we've added to the show, which is, what do you even do about this kind of shit? And so I want to give you a few little things.
Oh yeah, I don't have a thing yet. I don't have a thing for it yet. I don't have a musical sting.
Shame.
What can you do? Maybe I'll do
just
some.
the fart again.
I'll do some I'll do some reverb and echo. Here we go. Ready? I'm going to do them both at the same time if it even works. What can you do?
I think the first thing, though, if you want to do this, is you have to protect your own mind. So realize to identify this first. So think about when things are being presented as control or as protection, and realize that, like, if you think of it the exact, like, oh, this is being done for security or for protection. It's like, or is it a thing that is being installed to monitor what's happening and how that will affect the way that you think about things? I think about this every day because I work in Outlook and I see the little status showing whether I'm like active or away or like something. And I'm like, I hate that little thing because I can tell that that's a boss monitoring whether or not I'm at my computer pushing buttons and making emails happen or something.
Yeah. I have invested recently in a Home Assistant. Are you familiar with Home Assistant?
No.
The open source project. It's like an open source project that can control all sorts of it's like a bridge to like all your smart home devices. But something else it does is you can use it as a way to route sort of all your Wi-Fi traffic in and out, and on a network level, filter like ad networks and telemetry and things like that. And it is, mostly fine. It works great. But the times when it doesn't work is when Emily does a work from home day and she's on her work computer and sites and apps break because they are actively trying to track the things that she's doing. And on a network level, we're saying don't. And she has to be like, Scott, I can't do my job because like Microsoft Teams won't load. And so I have to turn it off for like an hour or something so she can do things because they like some of these apps and websites, like they're like, if you don't let us track everything that you're doing, we're not even going to work.
Yep.
We're going to shut down. We're going to cry.
Yeah.
Which is frustrating.
Another good example, or just like, actually that what's a really good example is during COVID was probably one of the first times that we actually did get less surveillance from our employers, and they hated it.
They fucking hated it, dude.
And they still.
And then we had a cottage industry of mouse jigglers pop up on Amazon and Etsy.
Yeah.
So that you could always have your mouse move every like 30 seconds without you having to be there because everyone was tracking your mouse movements now to make sure that you were working.
Yeah, your boss not being able to watch and surveil you and have that panopticon effect that's used for productivity they hated it so much. And that's one of the reasons why, like, they were so that and, office real estate markets, but that's why they needed to push you back to work, even when it was dangerous, even when it was useless, even if it hurt your productivity, they still did it anyway. And from what I'm being told is the US basically has just gotten rid of hybrid work altogether at this point. And here, I was just reading that we're kind of going through an economic recession based on, I don't know what's going on because I haven't read the news since 2016, but we're apparently getting some tariffs from some country and we can't do anything. We're getting 35% tariffs next month. So
interesting.
That economic downturn's causing some unemployment. And I guess they're going to use that to force us to go back to the office full time. So that's fun. But now you know why.
Yeah. Emily has one work from home day. Yeah, Emily has one work from home day a week, and it is the one day of the week when I have to take the shield down from our home Wi-Fi, or else Microsoft Teams will start to cry.
Yep. But yeah, also, so whenever an authority basically asks you something, you should probably be like, oh yeah? Not in a conspiratorial sense, but let's just say that, like, everybody has agendas, even governments. And when people say that, that you should probably ask for evidence rather than authority endorsement when it comes to evaluating things that are surveillance systems. And just like, challenge unfair societal arrangements, be an anarchist like Uncle Tristan.
Yeah. Be an anarchist.
Just realize that maybe authority shouldn't exist for authority's sake. Is that a thing?
Yes. And, I love that.
Yeah, and also just like realize that these are systems that have evolved and developed across human history, and that we're part of a legacy that has been doing that, and that we also be aware that we're hardwired, just like how we're hardwired to agree with things that seem to fit our worldview, we're also hardwired to just go with the flow when it comes to authority, and that's when we should be extra careful in stopping ourselves.
Yes.
Now, these also, there's a whole world of things that you might be, I feel like Americans should be becoming more familiar with in time, which is that you should probably be becoming a little bit more aware of the bouquet of encryption, VPNs, and privacy technologies. I have seen so many normies learn what Signal is very recently, which is really interesting.
Yeah. I have a VPN running constantly on a lot of my devices for various reasons, like one of them being certain states block certain websites if they detect that you're in it. Like, I understand, like, blocking, there are like different regional things for like Netflix, Canadian Netflix has a different thing. But like some websites just straight up don't load it, depending on what state you're in America. And if you travel to another state, it works. So VPNs, huge. I'm not going to shill for one specific one. I've been sponsored by a lot of VPNs. Any of them are fine. Get the cheapest one you can. They're all doing basically the same thing. And I would also, if anyone is interested in what I am running on my my Home Assistant, I've got a Home Assistant Yellow, which is like a self-contained thing. I know you can get a Raspberry Pi and make what is called a Pi hole, which is a very similar thing of routing all of your network traffic through something like that, a self-contained little computer that can run like AdGuard Home, which is what I'm using. And there are open source block lists that are constantly updated. So huge. Like, I'm not even like I don't feel like I'm a very like conspiratorial, like I have to protect my data sort of a thing. It's more so just like, it's not hurting me. And I have all the tools to put all this stuff in place because I got the Home Assistant Yellow just so I could control my smart home lights, better. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wait, I can also do this to like, filter all of my web traffic for all of the devices in my home, including guests who come in and use my Wi-Fi, and they don't have to set anything up on their end. I'll do it because I have it. And so there's lots of cool ways to do it.
Yeah.
And is it perfect? No. Like I said, once a week I have to turn it off. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's that's one of those things. There's a lot of privacy tools out there.
There are a lot of things that you can also do on like a bigger scale. Like there are organizations that are definitely worth celebrating for the less celebrated things that they do, like the ACLU in the United States, or the CCLA in Canada. Even though, like I used to work for CCLA at one point, uh, but
Yeah, disclosure's not bad.
but like organizations that counter surveillance laws on civil liberties grounds are like super important.
Yes.
I'll never forget like conversations with Brenda McPhail, who's like, she's like a digital privacy expert here in Canada, that I she used to work at CCLA with me, and she taught me a lot. But note that these are big things, but a lot of what we're going to need to do is going to be, like, as I said, it's going to be psychological and it's going to be cultural. Like if you are the owner of a small human, like I am, you should be creating environments where children have what's being called a gradual development of their autonomy, which means that instead of like the sort of typical patterns of parenting that involve constant monitoring, you should be focusing as children grow up on giving progressively them more space for their own privacy as they become more autonomous people, because we are raising children to be to normalize constant surveillance as part of their upbringing, which then gets translated to authority figures in the future. So not to say like don't watch your like toddler or whatever, but it is like you have to think of it as a process of like training them to have more space, and to think of having private space where you do not monitor them as a normal thing.
Yes.
Yeah. And also in communities, like local networks and relationships. So like have more friendships and human connections that don't have a intermediary, either like an online intermediary or like any sort of thing like that. Like no, like you should have relationships with people that don't rely on your phone or the internet in order to happen, because conversations that happen face to face are not ones that are easy to surveil.
We're saying this as we record over Zoom. But we have to.
Otherwise, we'd have to yell really loud.
Yes, and it would be very annoying to
everyone between Ontario and Virginia.
Yeah. Huge.
But yeah, human connections. And
can I also add to that? And then, like, this is a bonus thing, and you don't have to do it if you don't want to, if you're uncomfortable. But like, could we get more friendships that don't involve Venmoing each other back and forth? Like, if I get it, money's tight and everything, so you do you in your own circumstances. But like, I've always been the kind of person that really appreciates like, I will get you because I know you're gonna get me. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like. That's just our own thing. That's just my own thing. Just try it. Try it, see what happens. But again, money's tight all around. I get it. I'll take
your word for it.
But, yeah.
Our banking laws did not allow Venmo to expand here, so we don't have it. I don't know how it. I don't.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
We have the closest thing we have is e-transfer, and it's way more annoying because you basically can e-transfer is a thing that we have where basically you can email people money.
Fun.
And sometimes you can buy stuff with it, but it definitely is not as easy as the Venmo thing. So I can't just...
Can I fax you a few dollars, please?
I think that friction helps because, like, yeah, people, it's not often that, like, I think the one time I ever e-transferred somebody part of a thing was when we chipped in on like a $150 pizza order because there was like a dozen of us or something.
Yeah. Hey, honestly, if you want to go above and beyond with this section of the podcast of like what you can do actively, like just live off the grid, baby. Cash only everywhere you go. No phone. Throw it into the lake. You don't need it anymore.
Honestly, maybe having some cash around wouldn't be a bad idea. And yeah, just like think of privacy as an essential thing for human dignity, because I think that we've kind of lost its value because we have devalued it in so many places. And, think a lot about all that kind of stuff. Surveillance requires sustained cultural and educational effort across generations. So if any way that you can break that cycle is a good thing.
We're living in a world right now. I mean, we're recording this in July, and the biggest movie on the planet right now involves this superhero alien who has X-ray vision, and that makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, Superman actually, if you want to get into it, can have some problems because it's like it is kind of like the state where it's like Yeah, he can see everywhere and do anything, and like can monitor everybody at all times. But he's good, so it's okay.
All right, listeners, Tristan hasn't seen the movie yet, but like that is a point of the movie that they get into, which I think is interesting. So report back once you've seen it.
But yeah, I think that main thing is that you need to do that. You need to keep yourself at arm's length from the normalization of the surveillance of everything you do. And that also involves like the digital detoxes, which I am thinking about doing a little bit more often, of just having not so much like going full out, but like having more things that you do that doesn't involve being mediated by a technology that monitors what you're doing. Just being free.
Yeah.
Go for a walk without your phone. You'll feel weirdly anxious when you do it the first time, but it'll be weirdly liberating afterwards.
That's one of those.
And yeah,
this is one of those things where like, because I also wear like a smartwatch every day, and it is getting to the point where I'm questioning like why I do it, because I'm just like, oh, I like the health metrics, but like, do I look at them? Not really. Like, oh, I like tracking my steps and knowing that. I'm like, but I don't need that. And do I need notifications on my wrist all the time? No, I don't need that. Like, it's gotten to a point where I'm like, do I just wear a regular watch again?
I am serious. Not too long ago, I was very seriously considering just buying like a regular digital watch. Because
get a Casio.
And the best part is you don't have to charge it every week.
Oh yeah, you don't have to charge it every day like I do.
But yeah, the thing is, the key insight is that this is not a thing that like, it's not a thing that government policy is going to fix because governments want this. It is part of their mandate. It's critical to their ability to continue to extract labor and power from you in order to keep certain people with all of the money and everyone else without it. Let's be honest. But and also we are kind of hardwired to really just kind of go along with it. So you have to be actively resisting these things in every part of your life. That's one of the parts about being an anarchist, makes you really feel a lot of friction with a lot of random things in life, because you just are, once you start seeing the world in hierarchies that are trying to impose themselves without any justification, you will see them everywhere. And it'll make you'll be very annoying. And then that's how you become someone like me. So if you want to,
and then you start a podcast. Yeah.
That's what we need to do. And that's why we need to move towards democratic self-governance. Leon Czolgosz definitely did some things that were wrong, but Emma Goldman, who I have a framed picture of on my wall, is awesome. So read The Conquest of Bread by Peter Kropotkin. There you go. That's my final recommendation. Actually, no, my final recommendation is that you rate this podcast on iTunes by putting in your data into the thing. I was going to
say, we've got other things to say. If you want to surveil us online, a great place to do that is by following this podcast on all the different podcast platforms you could listen to us. Tristan and I also do other things online that you can follow us on. Boy, isn't it funny in the context of everything we've talked about that we're calling it's literally following people online is what we call it. That's pretty great. Tristan, what kind of stuff do you do on the internet outside of this podcast?
I run Step Back. It's a YouTube channel about the kinds of things that, if you like the part where Tristan makes you sad and wished it was a whole YouTube channel on its own, that's basically what I do, except there's a lot more history involved. Scott, given that we have a Fan 4 stick coming out, what does Dr. Doom's face look like? How can I find that out?
Great question. That's a video that I made many years ago. It's pretty good, actually. That was one of my first videos that got like kind of big views for me. So I was very happy about that. That's my YouTube channel, NerdSync, NERDSYNC. I've got some other Fantastic Four videos, and I'm working on a bunch of Superman videos right now. Because like I said, we're recording in July, and the Superman movie, first of all, huge recommendation. Second of all, it is like my muse right now. I feel like I could make 5 or 6 videos about that movie alone. it's so good, and it touches on a lot of really interesting
Mm-hmm.
things.
Yeah.
So very good stuff. Also, like, incredibly political in the best way. So shout out to that movie.
You can help out the show by
yeah,
going
you
to
can-
Nebula and signing up through
Yes.
our link, which will be in the show description. You could go to, if you want to give more direct support, you can go to Patreon, where we are using that to fund editors and equipment and sometime maybe bills in the future, but at the moment it's all for
Maybe bills in the future.
At the moment we pay editors first.
Yes.
So
Look,
to keep this show going.
Editors are not, they don't have, people who work for you and do labor for you are not the same rules as what I said about, like, don't Venmo your friends. These are people doing labor for us where we want to pay them, all right? We are going to Venmo them and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And we have been. Like, it's not a future promise. We have been.
We send the money on
them.
PayPal.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want to help out with that, patreon.com/probsnotaliens. And yeah, that I think is and also if you don't want to give money to us, that's all cool. This is a free podcast and we intend to keep it free. So share it with people, put it on USB keys and throw them at people.
We always recommend that one.
You know,
Huge
word of
for
mouth
us.
is important for podcasts. So put word in mouth and spread wide. Like many diseases spread widely. So you know when you're wanting to spread Probs Not Aliens, you don't wear a mask. Create a super spreader event for Probs Not Aliens everywhere you go.
And while people are listening to episodes that you've recommended, you watch them. You watch them like a hawk. You surveil them as they listen to our episode to make sure that they're listening
And that they
every
laugh.
week. That's what we need from you. And that they laugh. That's actually really important for me and my ego. I appreciate that. And a great place to send people is a very simple website, probsnotaliens.com. It's got links to everything that we've mentioned and all the places where you can find us. That's everything? Yeah?
I think so, yeah.
All right. Well, until next time, my name is Scott Nice.
I'm Tristan Johnson, and the truth is out there.
Probably. That's fun. We got through that whole episode and none of us made a reference to Lord of the Rings with the big eye.
Oh yeah, especially because the most like demonic digital surveillance organization right now is Palantir by Peter Thiel, which is literally named after the Seeing Stones from the Lord of the Rings.
Interesting.